Welcome my friends, the latest over the airwaves patch has just dropped, nerfing two of the most common cards and dominant cards that we have been seeing in the meta and giving dramatic buffs to two of the cards that we have been seeing the least of. So I'm really excited to be breaking down these changes, talking about how effective the cards are, can you still run them, should you be looking to other options. We're going to break it all down. First up, let's talk nerfs. Both the Lizard and the Sandman getting toned down here. Lizard retaining the 2-5 base stat line, which is the premium stat line that people are really gravitating toward, but now his ability ongoing, -4 power instead of -3 if your opponent has 4 cards here. This means that he is still fine if you are running synergies with being able to remove that ability, the Sauron, the Zero, Enchantress, who just got a dramatic buff, or even the Luke Cage to be able to maintain him up at that premium stat line. If you're running him in those kind of situations, he is still fine. But otherwise, if you're running him just as a premium plug-and-play 2 cost, he's losing a step here, and the competition is quite stiff for the slot, a plug-and-play slot of just trying to include any 2 cost in your deck. What are other cards that you guys could be considering? The Sentinel, quite frankly, being able to replicate back to hand, it's a great proactive play, and now at 2-3 is looking a lot better than the Lizard if the opponent is likely to be able to trigger his ability. You also have the location fixing power of the Scarlet Witch, which is just an incredible chance to be able to steal cubes for you in the right situations. Jeff is looking better and better if you guys have dropped the tokens for the Jeff, but really, Scorpion is the one who's going to be taking the spot. He was already neck and neck with the Lizard. It's always the green guys, and now the Scorpion here is looking prime indeed. I was already on Team Scorpion versus the old version of the Lizard, so now I'm going to be going Scorpion. If you're already going Scorpion and you're looking for yet another spot to be able to take in, you also, of course, should shout out the Okoye, the Daredevil, and the Goose, depending on the situation. If you have pivotal turn 5 drops, powerful cards that you could be able to gain an advantage from knowing what the opponent is playing, the Daredevil is going to look quite nice. And if you actually have a very cheap curve, then the Goose could give you some fantastic control. Now Sandman, 5-3 instead of 5-5, maintaining his old ability. How much does this really affect him? It doesn't. He was being played as a 4-1 previously, and now he's finding play in a lot of ramping style decks. They're taking away some of the power on his body because these ramp decks are becoming very oppressive, but I think that you still run him in all of the same situations. Whether you're trying to buff him later on with the Spectrum, or you're trying just to be able to finish off with the standard ramp gameplay, the Electro Ramp, Dr. Doom, or Leader, and then reactivate with the Odin, that gameplay is still fantastic, and his control is still going to solo win you some of your matchups here against the Sarah, Bounce, anything that's trying to play a lot of combo pieces into the final turn. Sandman just gives him an absolute nightmare to deal with. Mr. Negative, he murders Mr. Negative as well. And so with this dramatic power remaining unchanged, his power on his body could be whatever it is, and he'll still be played. Now we're looking at buffs. Both Shanna and Enchantress getting 2 power added to their bodies. Let's look at this, and of course, I gotta call out the Zabu is looking great with these cards being 4 costs. If you're running a couple 4 costs, it's actually always worth it to drop in the Zabu as an early drop. So Shanna up from 4-2 to 4-4, her on reveal add a random 1-cost card to each location. She was just so hard and so random to be able to really get to work. She was not finding a home in any kind of deck. The old Zabu was allowing this certain Shanna Zoo and Kazar and Shanna could be comboed together and you could just spam the board with this huge burst of power, but now that Zabu's gotten toned back a little bit, that style of Zoo has really disappeared in favor of the Moon Girl She-Hulk Zoo playstyle. Shanna now is a pretty dramatic power drop, getting that extra +2 on her base body because that's what's guaranteed to be hitting the board. You might be missing out on a couple of the 1 costs depending on how full your other locations are or the other situations around those locations being locked down due to whatever other effect. So getting this +2 I think is going to make her a lot more consistent. I am very excited to be testing her out. You're going to have to let me know in the comments if you guys have any deck tech that was built around Shanna that was already finding some success. Give me a starting point here. Very excited for this update. Hopefully we see more Shanna Zoo. And now Enchantress. The ongoing engine meta is absolutely upon us. People are running Super Scroll all over the place. People are running Rogue. They want to be able to bring Enchantress up on parity with those other cards. Seeing that in this ongoing dominant meta that Enchantress wasn't getting picked up very much and not finding very much success, they gave her 2 points on her body. This is insane tempo, especially if you've already set up the Zabu. Just dropping her as a 3/6 is a tempo play. She seems amazing, and then in conjunction with some of these negative ongoing effects that you would be able to remove from your side, also hit what the opponent is bringing in terms of positive ongoing effects on their side, Enchantress can be incredibly pivotal in a lot of different matchups. The Sarah control, man, getting the extra 2 power on the Enchantress is enormous for them. Definitely start including Enchantress, guys. She was a staple in past metas. She can come right back into that stat line. And now with this, Shang-Chi is just a 4/3. Playing a tempo Shang-Chi feels abysmal. Playing a tempo Enchantress at 4/6? I'm not that disappointed. Of course, there are better things for me to be able to do. But now, just as a body, she's incredible. There's a rapid rundown of the changes we have received. I'm incredibly happy with all of these changes. Very excited to be testing out these cards. Stay tuned to the channel to be able to see deck guides to include all of these guys in the immediate future. You guys are going to have to let me know down in the comments, what are your thoughts on the changes? What are cards that you would like to see change next week? Now, the over-the-airwaves change has to be a minor change. I'm quite certain that it is just numerical changes to abilities or powers or costs that they can do, not full ability rework. So we are somewhat limited in what can be done, but I'm very curious to see what you guys are thinking. I know a lot of Nerf Galactus is going to be in the comments. What are other cards that you would like to see changed? And especially, what are some cards that you would like to see buffed? Till next time, thank you guys for watching. Keep on snapping.